What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now, I was always obsessed with royal families and princesses growing up. I don't know if I watched too much Disney or Barbie movies, but I wanted to fall in love with a prince and then just live in a castle and just live my happily ever after. However, my knight in shining armor seems to have literally evaporated from the surface of the earth and never to be seen again, so that's just great for me. But if we strip away the sparkles and the prestige, royal families have a lot of responsibilities and of course a lot of secrets. So here are the top 10 scary secrets that royal families keep. Starting us off at number 10 is rightful heritage. Richard III was a big player in the game. He was a protagonist during the War of Roses and was a King of England and Lord of Ireland from 1483 till his death. Back in 2012, over 500 years after his death, his remains were found in a Leicester parking lot. His original tomb was removed during the English Reformation and people just assumed they had been thrown in the River Soar, but they were wrong. Through radiocarbon dating, the University of Leicester confirmed the corpse was Richard III, but his mitochondrial DNA didn't link him to any maternal relatives, meaning any descendants of his sister Anne of York, and there was no match whatsoever, meaning at some point in the royal bloodline someone had a secret affair with somebody, which means that there were so many kings and queens that came after them that probably did not have the right to rule, including Queen Elizabeth II. And even looks-wise, all his portraits depicted him as brunette with dark eyes, but DNA revealed he was actually blonde with blue eyes. So, I mean, major tea there. Which one of y'all's treated? Coming in at number 9 is the secret son. King George V was the king of the UK and British dominions, as well as the Emperor of India from 1910 till his death 25 years later. He married Mary of Teck back in 1893, and their youngest son Prince John developed epilepsy at the age of 3. Now, the couple thought this diagnosis brought great embarrassment to the royal family, so they hid John at Sandringham House in Norfolk. Anytime he came into town to visit the doctor, the blinds would be fully down so no one knew who he was or where he was. The family excluded him from most of their biographies and photos, so he lived a quite lonely, secluded life. His seizures ended up getting worse as he got older and he died at the age of 13 to the devastation of his parents. His brother, on the other hand, said he was relieved the animal was dead. His illness was only made public after his death. And I feel like this whole thing was so sad. First of all, your brother's a prick. Secondly, were your parents that devastated since they just left you hidden? This is so sad. Prince John. Prince John. At number 8, we have Princess Diana's depression. Now, it's not new information that Prince Charles and Diana had a tumultuous marriage. In audio tapes aired originally on US television back in 2004, Diana talked about how unhappy she was within the marriage, her struggle with depression, and her multiple suicide attempts. She explained how she threw herself down the stairs when she was 3 months pregnant with Prince William, landing at the feet of the Queen. In regards to her depression and suicide, Princess Diana explained, "I was trying to cut my wrists with razor blades. We were trying to hide that from everybody. I was just so desperate." She also talked about having bulimia and that the eating disorder started after Prince Charles put his hand on her waist and said, "A bit chubby here, aren't we?" How rude! Whose husband says that to them? If that was my husband, I would have pushed him down the stairs. And producer Chris was like, "That's just frightfully rude." It is indeed. And of course, after her death, we knew she was unhappy in the marriage and had finally found happiness with Dodi Fayed, but I don't think people knew the extent of how bad things actually were behind closed doors. Like, I felt like I knew a lot about Princess Diana because I feel like my parents were just obsessed with her when I was growing up, but I didn't know she had multiple suicide attempts. I didn't know any of that. And it kind of saddens me. It definitely saddens me. Filling at number 7 slot are the Nazi connections. The love affair between British King Edward VIII and American socialite Wallis Simpson took the 30s by absolute storm. Wallis had already been divorced twice before meeting Edward, so they could never actually get married. Royals can't actually marry someone who's been divorced if their divorced spouse is still alive. Either way, secret forbidden royal love, big whoop, we've seen it all before. However, what we haven't seen are the couple in question having huge Nazi connections. Edward could not stay king and marry Wallis, so he abdicated the throne to his little brother in 1937. That same year, the couple toured Germany and met Hitler. Wallis had even been the lover of the Nazi foreign minister back in the day, and Edward had been accused of being a Nazi sympathizer in the past as well. Now at number 6 is the staff member. Princess Anne, Queen Elizabeth II's only daughter, got married to Mark Phillips, an Olympic equestrian. The marriage was complete and despite being married for 20 years, it was dubbed a joyless sham. When they finally got divorced in 1992, British tabloid The Sun claimed they had secret love letters that Anne herself had written, and they were apparently for a royal staff member. Oh ho 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 ho. Hee hee hee. That same year, she announced she was marrying Timothy Lawrence, a retired British naval officer and also one of her equerries. Oh, how the tables have turned. I love it when the tables turn. I love it when it's like an affair with a royal and one of their servants. It's like hoo hoo hoo. You know what I mean? I know you guys are all doing that inside, I just did it outwardly for you. Coming in at number 5 is The Club. I don't even know how to talk about this one without being offensive, so just know I don't mean anything maliciously. So Princess Anne is the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, and her daughter is Zara Phillips. In 2011, Zara married rugby player and England captain Michael Tindall. That year, after winning against Argentina, the team was in New Zealand when he decided to go to a dwarf throwing club. According to Michael, no one on the team threw a dwarf, but just the fact they were there was just messed up. I didn't even know establishments like that existed, and it caused so much outrage that stars like Peter Dinklage, who was born with a dwarfism himself, called them out on it. Can you imagine that kind of secret? What? How? What? What is that? What is that? What is a dwarf throwing club? At number 4 is Beatrice and the Killer. Princess Beatrice of York is the daughter of Prince Andrew and Sarah, making her Queen Elizabeth's granddaughter and 9th in line for the throne. So she's more of a sideman royal, to be honest. We don't really have to pay too much attention to her, but just a little bit. Back in 2006, at the tender age of 17, Beatrice started dating American playboy Paolo Liuzzo, and honestly, honey, the playboy should have been all the red flags you needed to get out of that one. Before they started dating though, Paolo savagely beat and killed 19-year-old Jonathan Dutertellier at a party. Apparently Jonathan had confronted Paolo about how he was disrespecting girls at the party, and that didn't sit well with Mr. Playboy over there. His manslaughter charge was somehow dropped and reduced to just battery and assault, and to top it all off, he even violated the terms of his probation while trying to impress Beatrice. Thankfully, they didn't date long, and good thing too, because 3 years later he was charged with possessing cocaine after crashing a £40,000 Audi after he didn't pay his casino bill. Filling our number 3 slot is the one that got away. Princess Margaret is Queen Elizabeth II's little sister, and when she was 14 years old, sometime after World War II, she met Captain Peter Townsend. In 1953, her dad, King George VI, died and her sister became queen. At 22 years old, Margaret was in love with Peter, who is married now with 2 kids. He had divorced his wife as she was having an affair, and so Peter and Margaret desperately wanted to get married. Royalty can't marry divorcees if their spouses are still alive, and the Queen had to consent to their marriage. Queen Elizabeth II fought for them hard, but Winston Churchill was like, nah, my cabinet is not gonna accept that marriage. When news finally broke out about the two of them, the government posted Peter at the embassy in Brussels. Margaret then eventually had to abandon her tragic love story and ended up marrying photographer Anthony Armstrong Jones in 1960, the one that truly got away. Comment below if you've had one that got away. Now at number 2 is the real parentage. The British royal family is probably the most famous one in our day and age. We know Prince William and Kate and co, we know Harry and Meghan Markle and little old Archie. We're invested, let's be real. I remember the day William and Kate got married, I took so many videos of the live wedding on TV, I was like, this is history is being made, it has to be on my phone. But either way, as I mentioned at the start of the video, Princess Diana was not happy. In a tell-all interview she did back in 1995, she came clean about the fact she had a 5-year-long affair with military man James Hewitt. And then as Harry grew older, the resemblance between James and himself became more and more evident. Harry was born in 1984, which made the timing make sense, but Hewitt and Diana herself emphasized that he was born 2 years before the affair even started. But was he though? I mean, of course they'd never admit if Harry was a or not, because it would rock the world. So I mean, I guess we'll really never know, but they do look quite similar, I'm not gonna lie. And finally, at number 1 is the black sheep. I love a black sheep in the family. I think I'm my own family's black sheep, not gonna lie. Now you'd think I was about to go off about Prince Harry, but actually I'm gonna be talking about Prince George, the Duke of Kent, and perhaps the most controversial member of the royal family. He was the 4th son of King George V and Queen Mary, and he was the target of never-ending salacious rumors. Even after marrying Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark, Denmark, he had a string of affairs with celebs, socialites, you name it. And he was supposedly bisexual too, having a string of male and female lovers, which obviously did not sit well with the time or his title. He partied a lot and was regularly accused of abusing heroin and cocaine like he was the proper party boy. Step aside, Paolo, whatever your last name was. Those drugs originated from him knowing Kiki Preston, who he then went on to share many menage-a-trois with. In August of 1942, he and 14 others took off in an RAF flying boat, which later crashed near Scotland, killing everyone but one. All his personal life issues were kept under wraps, but many believe his lifestyle got way too much for the royal family to control, so they commissioned someone to take down the aircraft. There also was an additional person on board the flight that no one could identify. And that is it for today's video, guys. I love royalty. This was such a fun video to do. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 in the comments below. As always, I'm your host Ayman Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!